for the end of the moon. It sure ended in a boom. Releasing in 2022, Moonfall, directed by Roland Emeric, is a large-scale moon falling out of the sky into Earth disaster film. Brian Harper, played by Patrick Wilson, as you might know from the Conjuring films, the face of Ed Warren, as well as Halle Berry, who plays Jocinda, they must go find a way to stop the moon before it completely destroys Earth. So when I first walked into this film, I was expecting a large-scale disaster film that not necessarily super scientifically accurate, but will have scenes that I will enjoy. And the positives I got out of this experience would be the acting from the two leads, Patrick Wilson and Halle Berry respectively. Their performances are very solid. I can't say that for everyone in the film as we dive into some of the mediocre, but for our leads, while it might not be their best performances, it is definitely, we can definitely see that they are good actors with this film. And while they were given some cheesy lines, I would say, in the script, they somehow make some of them work. And being able to do that just shows how good of an actor you actually are if you're able to make cheesy lines work within a movie. The movie's pace, while not being great, it is quicker than I thought it would be, which is definitely a positive. I thought that the movie would take a while to start up. I thought that we would have to let everyone know about the moon going out of orbit, about it coming towards Earth, and we would have to explore all these different reactions towards it. And while we got that, it was very consistent flow of information and things happening between our lead characters and their family. As well as, I think that the first 10 minutes, the first 20 minutes really do put the plot in motion at a really fast pace, which kind of started a fast-paced movie, which is what I wanted. I didn't want to have to wait till the very end to see a lot of the destruction, and it's good that it was pretty consistent throughout the whole film. The CGI in this film is, for the most part, pretty good. There's a couple parts here and there in space which it wasn't as good, for sure, but for the most part the CGI is really solid, and it's always really cool to see just all the destructions and the buildings blow up, right? That's always a positive for me because not every film delivers that in this type of spectacle way. A huge city getting pummeled by water or whatever it is that's going to destroy some cities, right? You don't see that in a lot of films, and so just being able to see that put a smile on my face and kind of made me go like, wow, that's cool. So that's always a positive. And if you enjoy just seeing epic disaster, then finally on to the mediocre. I personally wanted to see a bit more of Earth getting destroyed. Not like I want to see it in real life, but that's the point of the movie, is you're seeing something you wouldn't see in real life. And so being able to see the Earth get destroyed, I want more of it, of course. And going back to my last point, because of all the in-between parts happening when they feel like they take forever, it does take away from some of the Earth destruction. And I think overall, if they either paced it better or they kind of took out some of those scenes of the people, like just cut down some of the time, it would put the Earth getting destroyed scenes closer together in time, and it would just make it feel like it's paced a lot better, which in turn you would be like, oh, for hour 45 movie, there was a lot more Earth getting destroyed instead of a 2 hour 10-minute movie. There's not as much Earth getting destroyed because it's all based off that ratio of how long the movie actually is. I mean, of course, I was happy with what I saw of Earth getting destroyed, but it never hurts to ask for more. I thought that the premise of the film walking in was seeing Earth get destroyed, but as you'll find out, it goes in a totally different direction. And as I said before, one of the positives is the ending, right? And because it goes in this ending and it does this epicness, it's hard to say because like I want more destruction on Earth to see that and like they collide and whatever. But at the same time, what I saw in space was super cool. So that's why it's in the mediocre because yeah, we missed out on something, but we got something that was just as good, if not even better. For the negatives of this film, I think we can just take comedy out of it just entirely. I don't think that the comedy in this film lands at all. And I understand that humor is subjective, but it's more like the plot points and certain actions people make that I'm laughing at, and what people say that I'm laughing at more than laughing at the actual jokes. I mean, for instance, a cat pees on Patrick Wilson's face on a magazine like it's funny, but it wasn't. It was just okay. It just led into the next plot point, but it was played for humor, and it just doesn't. To me, it doesn't work. And I kind of felt the same like with my audience. None of them were really laughing at the jokes. They were kind of chuckling here and there when there was a stupid thing that kind of came on, which is something we'll get into a little bit later. But besides that, the jokes just didn't land. As I said earlier, I would not walk into this film expecting a scientific accurate film. This film is not scientific accurate at all. Like, as in, we don't know what would happen, true, but the speculative just doesn't work out. And then they try and define it by, like, oh, well, there's a reason the science doesn't make sense, and it's I'm not going to say any spoilers here, but there's a reason why the science doesn't make sense. So if you can get around that, then sure, I got around it totally fine. I didn't care. I don't know my science as well as most people, but if you get bothered by inaccurate science, then this might not be the film for you. Finally, dumb plot points. As I was saying earlier, there's certain plot points that happen within the film, and it's just certain ones are like, why would you do this? Like, over what any logical person would make, what any logical human being decision would be. For instance, this one character that knows what not to do up in space, yet he does it anyway. Like, come on, dude. The second I saw him do this specific action, I was like, yeah, you almost deserve what's going to happen. Honestly, that was not a smart idea. And I feel like there's a lot of moments in this film where it's like the characters could just be a little bit smarter with their heads, Especially when you're talking about an end of the world. Like, dude, you could have just killed the whole planet, man. Overall, I walked into this movie wanting a large-scale moon crashing into Earth film. And while I got that, it was bogged down by pacing issues, acting that took me out of the film, and certain dynamics and relationships and character motivations that got swapped, making the pacing just really off. I think overall, if we just reduce the movie by about 20-30 minutes, make it an hour and 40 instead of 2 hours and 10 minutes, the pacing would just be a lot better overall for the film. And we would only be an hour in until the climax would happen, and it would feel like a really quick, fast movie. But because of some of this extra stuff, extra 20-30 minutes they threw in there, it makes the movie hurt a little bit. A lot of the other stuff, though, I can get over. Even the science, even the bad science. I can get over all that stuff. And the reason why is because I was presented with a climax that was worthy of the price of admission to me. I think that the climax in this film, the last 20 to 30 minutes of this film, is really, really well done and has an original story to it. And that is why I'm going to say I walked out of Moonfall with a positive experience. I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5. Enjoy Emeric Roland's style of film, or if you just enjoy disaster, large-scale disaster films in general, I think you should definitely check this one out. If you have issues with wrong science, or maybe you don't want really bad acting. It's not really bad acting, but maybe you don't want like some cheesy moments of acting, or you don't care about the big booms and the explosions and the disaster or whatever, right? So then if you are like that, I would say go on a Tuesday and spend half price for sure. But I think that this is a film you should check out in theaters because it's definitely a lot better in theaters. If I watched this on TV or on my phone, oh, that would not be the same at all.